Going well, man. How are you?
Well, I've never been on a podcast before. This
Oh,
I feel so important. I've never done anything important in my life.
yeah. I'm sure. I'm not sure about that, but remind me of your name one more time.
Alex,
Alex, how's it going, man?
it's going well. I just got here a few hours ago from Atlanta.
Yes, you did.
Got the grand tour of the place. It's beautiful.
Well, okay. So first impressions of Austin and PlebLab. Is this your first time here?
This is not my first time in Austin. My first time in Austin was like a year ago. Basically, this week it was at the Sats by Hackathon last year. That went so well that I came back.
Gotcha. Well, I don't know if you want to fully dox what you do, but we kind of had it talked about it a little bit pre-show. Why don't you tell us, where you work at or what you're doing in Bitcoin?
Sure. Yeah. No, I have no protection over my my identity.
I always
well
got to tread the waters a little bit with Bitcoiners, like some of them want to be on camera, some of them don't, and then some of them want to say what they do, some of them don't. So yeah, feel free to dive in.
Yeah, no worries. I know people can be sensitive. So my name's Alex from Atlanta, and I currently work at a company called Block Spaces. I'm a software engineer. We're working on Bitcoin Lightning infrastructure and tools for businesses, and the killer feature that our thing does is that it talks directly to your ERP systems. So you don't have to train your accountants. You can just accept Bitcoin Lightning payments, and then it pops up in your existing accounting systems.
Yeah, and it's great stuff. Blockspace is a Tampa-based company, so shout out to Tampa. Shout out to Benny Builder. Shout out to Gabe Higgins and all those guys in Tampa working hard there. So I mean, like I told you a little bit before, that's my home base right now. So I gotta give the shout out when the shout outs due. So
that's so cool that you're from Tampa.
Yeah. I mean, it's interesting too because I honestly thought that there was nobody outside of the city of Tampa that's working on Blockspaces. So. Why don't you kind of go into, I guess, the Lightning program that you guys are like building on? Because I know I've seen the demo where you could essentially, correct me if I'm wrong, but like somebody pays in Bitcoin or whatever it is, like on the Lightning network, it pops up directly in your QuickBooks. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly. So every client gets a Lightning node. We're hosting your node for you. You hold the keys, so we never witness your key, and so it's non-custodial. And then there's a platform that does cost basis tracking and like US dollar conversions for invoicing. And that's like our front end. But the intuitive thing is any money that comes in or out of your Lightning node just automatically gets posted. That's the basic idea.
Yeah. I mean, that's awesome stuff. So, all right. So what's the future then of this? Do you guys foresee this, I guess, being helping like accounting solutions for Bitcoin businesses or not Bitcoin businesses, but businesses in general when they try to start accepting payments in Bitcoin?
Yeah, it's the goal is to be the easiest on ramp, and then it's supposed to be like a holistic enterprise solution. So if you're a business owner and don't know anything about like you're not a technical person, or even if you know a little bit about Bitcoin, but there's so much to do for a business's perspective. I think it's a massive gap in like the Bitcoin's industry is support for businesses trying to do this. Like it's really hard, there's a ton of stuff you got to do.
Yeah, I mean, you got to think about like all the different, accounting solutions, taxes, all that kind of stuff for a business, right? And not only on that, the money aspect of things, but you got to run the business, right? I mean, so that can take up a lot of time. So, have you had any conversations with any of these business owners or, some of the clients that you guys have, just kind of figuring out maybe some of the hurdles that they've had to go through to accept Bitcoin? And how have those conversations gone?
Yeah. So, we have a few clients now. Probably like the biggest hurdle to adoption is just finding a reason to get people to pay in Lightning or get people to pay Bitcoin. Like for Bitcoiner cities, it's nice and everybody gets to pay, but those Bitcoiners are the only ones using that service. So unless you have a fan base of Bitcoiners going to your bar or whatever, nobody's choosing to pay in Bitcoin. That's definitely a hurdle for like the point of sale solution, but something we're hoping to target it is business to business payments. And we're hoping that if we can't convince the entire world to pay in Bitcoin, maybe we can just convince two business owners, and if we can reduce like payment friction between those people and like day sales outstanding, like the time that it takes to make a payment, then they can actually like do business on Bitcoin. and then they could see benefit from that.
So what do you mean by business to business? Like,
Yeah, like imagine like I'm a coffee store owner and I have to pay the people that are growing the beans. You know,
okay.
it's like I'm a business, they're a business, and I have to like pay them for my stuff. Or like a Honda has to pay the people that make the glass in their car. So
Yeah. Okay, I gotcha. So more of like, I guess, the supplies or to help make the end product that, you know, maybe the end consumer gets, right?
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. So then, all right. So great stuff going on in block spaces and all that. But let's hear about you, man. What brought you into Bitcoin? And like, how did you? Why block spaces? Like, how did you kind of hear about this company and kind of get started working there?
Yeah, so got my start in Bitcoin about like 2 years ago now. I started going to Atlanta Bit Devs, and I was working at a company called NCR. They make a bunch of cash registers, and last year at the Bitcoin conference they had a big announcement that they're going to integrate their point of sales into Strike. But I was on a team at NCR it was called like the Software Innovation Lab, and I got exposed to a bunch of different stuff and kind of got addicted to Lightning and Bitcoin, and that was my beginning. So worked on a few projects there, and then in Miami, it was Miami last year, I found Ben at a hackathon I was competing in, and
Benny Blader.
Benny Bitcoin.
Was he riding around on it? Was he hacking while on his roller skates or what?
I think he rode in on his blades in majestic fashion. You know, he'd sucked the air out of the room, and everybody was stunned by his majesty. And then, but anyhow, we got talking, and he said that they were hiring at Block Spaces, and it sounded like they were doing some really cool stuff. So yeah.
Cool. So are you the only guy in Atlanta? Are you out in an island there? Or you got a couple other people?
Yeah, no, I'm the only one in Atlanta right now. We used to have somebody else from Atlanta, but not anymore. So yeah, I'm on an island in Atlanta.
Dang. So are you coming down to Tampa or what?
Maybe one day. I don't know. So I was actually about to come to Tampa. I was looking at apartments and I was fully intending on moving. And then I just got cold feet. And actually, really, what happened is I started getting addicted to the Atlanta Bitcoin scene, and I didn't want to leave that. And like we're trying to grow the scene, and I felt I couldn't abandon those guys, despite all the cool stuff in Tampa.
No, I mean, it seems like there's a lot of great stuff going on in Atlanta that, you know, it doesn't get enough credit either, because I think, is TabConf one of the sponsors here? I want to say that it is.
Yeah, I found that out like yesterday. Yeah. No, it's so actually, I don't know who else I thought I was going to be the only person from Atlanta, but I guess I'll see maybe like Mike and Brandon.
Yeah,
they're on the conference.
So TabConf, from what I understand, I haven't been yet, but I feel like it's a lot different than any other Bitcoin conference, because it seems like it's more, I guess, dev focused. Would you kind of say that?
Absolutely, yeah. So they don't try to make it approachable. I mean, they do to the degree that they can, but their number one audience is engineers and developers. So all of the talks are technical. It's like heaven for the engineers there. But frankly, like if you're not already technical, it's probably not the best first exposure. It's jumping into the deep end. But they have workshops. There's a hackathon one year. Last year there was like a co-working builder day. Yeah, no, it's a cool conference.
Yeah, I mean, and I think it's pretty interesting to me too, because, you know, it seems like what you're describing, right? Like you go to that conference to go to the talks, or whether it's like a workshop or something like that. Whereas, you know, some of these other conferences, they're great, right? I mean, like some of they get great speakers and other things like that. Like people really provide some great insights. But I think the value that I find in a lot of these other conferences is just, you know, the networking aspect, getting to meet a lot of the people, meet a lot of the Bitcoiners behind the Twitter avatars or whatever it is. Whereas the way you're describing TabConf and kind of, you know, the vibe I get from Atlanta Bitcoin scene is, it seems like that's more of like a collaborative effort to help, you know, almost like raise each other up when it comes to the development of, you know, just Bitcoin, whether it's on Bitcoin protocol, Lightning, whatever. Would you kind of say that is correct, or?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like we're all trying to help each other out. You know, everybody wants people to be good. The cliche is like, you come for the Bitcoin, you stay for the plebs.
Yeah,
you know, it's. I mean, the number one reason why I go to like conferences now is not for the same reason that I started going. It's now for mainly the people and keeping up with everything. And And whereas it was all like exploration, just like 100% learning at the beginning.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. So, all right. Well, I guess what gets you most jacked up when it comes to Bitcoin
Ooh.
For 2023? Like, I know you guys are probably working on some great stuff, great stuffs in block spaces and other things like that. So it doesn't necessarily have to be a project like that. Maybe it's a side project you're working on or thinking about working on. Or maybe it's something just like completely off chain that that's getting you jacked up. Like, what's the thing that you get most jacked up about here in 2023 as banks are collapsing and it seems like fiat's almost imploding?
Great question. Probably number one thing is Lightning adoption not in the States, like elsewhere. That stuff fires me up, man. I went to El Salvador for the first time. That was really cool.
Yeah, how was that? So how long did you go and what did you go for?
Yeah, I was there for a week, and I went for the conference. It's called Adopting
Yeah.
Bitcoin.
I think I'm gonna plan on going to that.
You should. Yeah, highly recommend.
Yeah. I mean, I was looking right now. I think tickets are only like $100, so
yeah,
it is really affordable. It seems like for the average pleb, like, if anybody's like interested in going in that.
Yeah, like I don't know like how they're organizing it, but it's my understanding that they have full support of like the several companies down in like South America, as well as like the government that like helps them.
Oh wow!
Yeah, which is really cool to see like a national government back a conference.
Yeah, that's insane. But yeah, okay. So what did you do in outside of the conference? Did you go to Bitcoin Beach? You do all that stuff like in what was it? It was in like November, I want to say.
Yeah, that sounds about right. Yeah, I went to the beach for a day. Yeah, I mean most of the days I just went to the conference, but the very last day, like I stayed an extra day after the conference, and we went hiked a volcano.
Oh
which is
yeah,
sick.
Didn't explode on you? Did you see some miners up there or what?
I did not in eyesight. Our tour guide said pointed in like a general direction, so the miners were that way. I don't know if they actually were behind the volcano, but
I feel like they're just I don't know. I haven't seen any pictures or anything of it yet, so I want to say that this might not be set up or anything. But
I mean, I'm sure that they've done it. I'm sure that I highly doubt that they're like lying about the whole.
I don't want to say that they're lying or anything.
Full of ASICs or something. I don't know.
Like, yeah, it'll be interesting to see that setup though. I want to see. Maybe if somebody's listening and they got some pictures or know of some pictures or somewhere, just tweet it at me so I can check it out a little bit later. But yeah, man, that's great stuff. So I mean, Lightning adoption. Let's dive into that.
Sure.
Because I think it is an interesting topic, and it seems like what is being adopted right now. Well, okay, so let's back up. How Strike kind of helped integrate Bitcoin into El Salvador was essentially through like the remittance aspect of it. And it seems like that's what's kind of being rolled out now in like Africa and maybe in some other, Latin American countries as well. Yep. So do you think, that I guess there's kind of like two cogs to this, right? There's like the remittance payments where you can use Lightning to essentially, exchange fiat for, little to no fee. Or there's, the Lightning for quick transactions of like Bitcoin, the asset. Which side of the coin do you like fall on? Do you think that's like, I guess, most beneficial going forward? I know it's a tough question.
Yeah, I mean, I think both are kind of important, and if Lightning does its job, it should be easy to do transactions. But like ultimately, the thing that's important is holding. I mean, like that at least first. The problems in the third world with payments aren't like Visa's fees exactly. It's the government seizing money and people not being able to control their money.
Yeah, that's a fair point, but I mean, the way I don't know, maybe I'm just ignorant, but I think that those people that are receiving a lot of those remittance payments, they're unable to, I guess, save, so to speak. I mean, maybe with this, the way that they're doing remittances now with the fees, like they're able to start saving. I don't know.
No, that's a good point. It's like it's not like that they're gonna generate generational wealth or that's not the point necessarily, but it's the idea of having unconfiscatable money.
Yeah,
it's like, and then a product of that is that you have to use your unconfiscatable money. Like I think one of the best stories is in Venezuela. They had like the currency called a bolivar in like 2018. They ballooned it to oblivion, and they printed. It cost like a wheelbarrow full of money to buy a chicken.
Yeah. And I think there was even like stories back then too, like you'd go buy a beer or something like that, and then you drink that beer, you come back and that beer is a different price.
Yeah, that sounds believable.
Yeah. So it was so inflated. It was like one of those, I imagine like seeing those like I don't know, almost like a ticker kind of thing, where it's like showing stock prices, and then every like couple minutes, it's like the stock price is changing.
But it's actually just like the prices of the
it's like
menu items,
goods and services. It's like a beer, or this IPA was $5, now it's $9, now it's $7.
The commodity index for a brewery.
It's ridiculous. So, I mean, I know like some bars kind of do that in the States to make it kind of fun, I guess, but they do it based on demand.
Interesting. Okay, they actually changed the prices.
Yeah, they changed the price. Like if people are buying up one beer a bunch, they lower and raise that price. But I've seen a few of that. But like I think they try to make it more as like a game, so it's not like dramatic changes.
I mean that's cool though. I've never heard of that.
Yeah, it's like maybe like $1 or $2 instead of like maybe like in Venezuela it was like 10 to 15 or something swings, which I imagine that would be a lot more dramatic. But like I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's bad when that's the scenario going on your fiat currency, things like that. But all right, so now we kind of dove into that and like unconfiscatable money and all that kind of stuff. But there is some interesting aspects going on in the United States when it comes to the bank collapse. Have you been following what's been going on the past couple of days?
Yeah, no, I mean, just probably what everybody else knows. The big bank in Silicon Valley, decided to over leverage themselves, and they kind of went under, and the government printed money to bail out their account holders. Honestly, I don't know how to take it. Like, I don't know that much about banking. I guess that's good for the people, but is that good? I mean, Silicon Valley Bank should be punished, right? I mean, how do you punish?
I mean, I don't. So like, I don't know. It's an interesting little topic here, but I guess the way I kind of want to discuss this with you is that it seems like a lot of the Silicon Valley Bank and like a lot of these banks, what they were backing were essentially like crypto businesses, like a lot of these shitcoin casinos and other things like that. And so what I think is going to come out of that is a lot of regulation, not only in the banking sector, but they're going to kind of use this as an end around to get, towards Bitcoin. Obviously crypto and Bitcoin, like they're two completely different things, but when it comes to regulators, they kind of view them as the same right now. So when it comes to like regulation and future regulation, right, we've seen FTX collapse, we've seen Celsius collapse, BlockFi, like you name it, like all these exchanges that offered yield basically backed on nothing. Everybody in the Bitcoin space kind of has some ideas what's going on now, right? But I mean, it's no different than maybe Mt. Gox or some of these other things. So on that note, like it's a tough question, but what do you kind of like, what is your biggest fear when it comes to regulation in the next, I don't know, maybe not like this year per se, but in the next few years that, maybe could come out of this banking issue? But yeah, I mean, because like I said, I think any crisis or collapse or whatever is just kind of an excuse for more regulation. So where do you think that this is kind of going to take us?
I'm honestly not super worried about people like banning Bitcoin. Like, I don't know what that scary regulation looks like. I think the much more scary regulation is what they're talking about with mining. Have you been following that, like the environmental stuff?
Not recently. I didn't know if there's anything recently.
The past like 3 days, there's been a lot come out.
Okay, all right. Let's dive into that then. What's come out the past 3 days?
Yeah, so there's a hearing with the Senate or maybe it was the House, but there was a hearing with Congress, and they had a bunch of like industry experts for mining, and they were just, I mean, they were not a fan of proof of work. They just were just saying like, oh, proof of work is the exact same thing as proof of stake, except it costs this amount of energy. But so there's a proposal, like a bill got proposed. I don't know if it was a real bill yet, but there's a proposal that they're going to put like a 30% tax on mining energy or something like that.
Really? 30%?
I think this came out like yesterday.
Wow.
I mean, it's ridiculous and it's bad. And all the people that actually know what they're talking about, like those at the Bitcoin Policy Institute and like the people that know that they think it's ridiculous. And
well, like who are the experts that they talk to? Do you have any idea? Because I thought that they were making like a Bitcoin. Isn't like Michael Saylor like the head of the Bitcoin mining council? Excuse me, and like some of the bigger names in the space are kind of ahead of that, because I think I did, now that you mention it, I think I did see a video of Senator Lummis from Wyoming kind of going in and just like basically ripping somebody apart, like asking them all these questions, and they couldn't really come with a good answer. But
I mean, like the expert witnesses that they had on the panel were just hacks. I mean, like nobody liked them, and
grifters.
Yeah, I mean, I have honestly no idea who they are, so I can't attest to their person or their character. But yeah, they obviously were not, or had like they obviously had an interest at discrediting proof of work, and they had no intention on talking about any of the merits. I mean, for those of the people that haven't heard or haven't seen like the work that Bitcoin Policy Institute has done, I mean, it's super interesting. Like they basically talk about mining as a like silver bullet antidote to disparate energy in the grid. You know, have you heard of this stuff?
No.
Like, it's really cool. It's like energy is both a slave of like location and time. Basically, it's really hard to store energy.
Yeah.
So like you have to build the energy production places close to the demand. But you know, it's not for like for renewable energy and for a bunch of like for different like producers of energy. It's hard to like to match those things up. So like you have, let's say you have a place with a bunch of solar panels, and you know, it's really sunny all the time, but it's in the middle of a desert. You know, how do you get the energy away? Well, you can either build these really expensive transmission lines, or you just have extra energy, and you don't have anything to do with it. Or, okay, let's say that you have a town that's powered by wind. Then what do you do when it's not windy outside? Well, okay, that's not really an option. You can't have people like not heating their houses. Yeah. So you have to build the number of like windmills that you need for the lowest point in the year. So let's say that like, you know, at the lowest windy point in the year, it's like 25% of what it is at its highest point. And that's like what you need. So you need to basically build 4 times the number of windmills that you need.
During like, the slow time of the year, or whatever. Yeah.
So therefore you have an excess at every time that isn't the lowest point in the year. What do you do with all that energy? Well, in some places, then there is so much excess energy in the grid that the prices of energy actually go negative. They pay people to take load off of the grid. Well, okay. Well, what is a way that we can convert extra energy into money?
Bitcoin mining, right?
Yeah. So they use these miners to subsidize these like green energy initiatives.
Yeah, I think I was talking about that with somebody yesterday. I can't remember the conversation. I don't know if it was on this or if it was just hanging out in PlebLab, but we were kind of talking about it. So, you know, what do you think that there's an issue with that? Because, you know, like you said, like in the tough times, then essentially you're going to just have to turn off the miners, right? We've seen that a couple times already here in Texas. Yeah. You know, during the summer and the winter.
Yeah. I mean, that's sort of the strength. So like something really interesting that I heard like last week was that in all of the academic research that they're doing, they don't actually refer to mining. Like they refer to as variable demand energy sinks or something like that.
That is interesting.
Yeah. And the reason why they do that is because frankly, they don't care that it's miners. Miners are just the only thing that they've found that has these properties. You know, that they want to find a buyer that's willing to stop buying when energy prices get high, and they can turn their machines off like in a second. Yeah. And mining is the only thing that's like that, that also doesn't care about geography.
Yeah. So do you think like that's kind of like the future of mining when it comes to not only like Bitcoin mining companies, but like essentially it'll just be kind of, I guess, almost seasonal, where it's like, you know, it'll gobble up excess energy, you know, during the down times, and then, you know, maybe during the up times, and when it's tough, it'll be kind of, I guess, maybe more of like a decentralized movement where, you know, maybe home miners will start to turn on because it's cold, and instead of using a space heater, you use a Bitcoin miner or something like that. So.
Yeah, I mean, that'd be cool. No, I think that there's a serious future where Bitcoin mining is a irrevocable part of the grid, or it's like it's nested in the grid, and the grid has a very healthy relationship with Bitcoin mining where it serves a vital role. And yeah, like it'll be power companies they're going to be the ones that are the miners of the future.
Yeah,
you're not going to need, you know, people to, you know, have these backroom deals with power companies. It's just that people close to the supply are going to be the ones that are doing the mining.
Yeah, I think it'll be that, and I think it'll be like companies that maybe like a Shell or some things others where they have like excess energy or excess runoff, and they're essentially just capturing that. They don't care that what the Bitcoin price necessarily is. They just I was just shooting this into the atmosphere or wasting this energy or
Mhm.
whatever it is, and now I can make some money off of it. Fuck yeah, let's do it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff. So I mean, it is an interesting space, and yeah, I mean, you seem to get jacked up about mining. Any future home mining projects or something like that?
I'm not handy enough to do anything with hardware.
Yeah.
I used to do in high school. I was part of like Science Olympiad, and I was on all the engineering stuff because like I could write code and stuff.
Yeah.
And there was a rule that I wasn't allowed to touch the car because I would break it every time.
You can only program it. You can't do the hardware.
Yeah. I could help like design it maybe, but don't let me like touch it with tools and hands. That's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, hey, I mean, maybe you'll get it installed or something like that in your next home, or when you move down to Tampa, we'll get you to heat a hot tub or heat your pool or something.
Yeah, that'd be neat. I have a family friend that just started home mining, and he's got like the whole nine yards, like a bunch of ASICs, like the mineral oil tanks, heating his house and everything.
Oh yeah, that's pretty wild. Yeah, I mean, so now like I might have a project for hashing to heating. So shout out to him. He's a big guy on Twitter that does a lot of the stuff like when we're kind of describing like at home projects that uses miners to heat whatever. I'm gonna need a new water heater here in the next year or so. So I was thinking maybe I just have him come down and play with it a little bit and see if he can install it and make it work. We'll see. We'll see if that ends up coming to fruition. But it's a project that I think would be pretty cool for not only him but for me to have at my house.
Yeah, that'd be sick.
Yeah.
I mean, why not?
Yeah.
I mean, if you're gonna spend a bunch of money on a water heater, why not?
I don't know. I think there's like $8,000 or something like that, or maybe that's a little on the high end, maybe like 6 or something like that. But still, they're not cheap.
Man. It might as well just like
buy like a couple S9s or even S19s or whatever it is,
exactly.
And just like up the price a little bit, but save some money on it long term. I mean,
that'd be cool.
Why not? Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so what if it uses 50 times the power down?
I wouldn't say probably 50 times the power, but I mean, it'd probably use. I mean, I don't know. I was like kind of helping like this startup for at one point in time to try to look at the differences in the cost between like a Bitcoin miner just plugging it in and a like normal water heater or space heater, and the differences in the cost aren't that different.
Interesting.
But I mean, obviously you mine Bitcoin, so I mean you'd be making a profit on the other side.
Yeah.
Right? Or not a profit, but essentially you'd be spending money that you're already going to spend, but you get some Bitcoin back, which is like obviously the added benefit for all of it.
Interesting. Is it like even like with electricity factored in?
Yeah. So I mean, obviously you get the same, like they use like about the same amount of power. Obviously you need probably a space heater is going to heat more than just one miner. Right. So you need probably maybe one or more, or you can like overclock, underclock. I mean, there's a lot of different ways that you could go about tackling this problem. But from what I recall, it is like fairly close in price, and like the difference. And obviously, no matter like, unless the Bitcoin price like falls significantly, like, I don't know, like $5,000 or something like that, and the hash rate stays where it is, or even if we get past the next halving and we don't really have like a huge run up, that could be an issue. But I think like from when I was doing the calculation, like it was basically like a no-brainer kind of thing.
Wow.
So
that's cool.
it might be something where maybe you're in one of these states where it actually gets cold and you're not in Texas or Florida. And I mean, I guess Atlanta gets a little cold, right? You get some snow every now and then.
I mean, we get like one snow a year.
Yeah, one snow day.
I saw a meme of Atlanta seasons, and it was like there's like 15 seasons in Atlanta, and there's like the first winter, the fall spring, the pollinating, the second fall spring, the third winter,
Yeah, great stuff. So, before I let you out of here, what are your plans for the rest of the week? Are you going to compete in the hackathon? What events are you excited about? Yeah, what do you want to do while you're here in Austin?
So I came for the hackathon mainly, and I'm staying for the week. So any Bitcoin events that are going on this week, I plan on. Actually, I've done a pretty egregious job at actually planning for this trip, and I only got in like 3-4 hours ago. So my goal is to talk to people at least once a day before the evening comes around and
figure out what's going on.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, just play it by ear. I mean, that's where I don't know, from my experience just in South by Southwest, like in general, that's kind of always been the best way to go about it, honestly, because like
Nice.
you never know what pops up. So I feel like it's kind of the same way here in Bitcoin land here. But yeah, if you want to check out Carl put together a great list on his Thriller Bitcoin website. I tweeted it out too. So for those who are listening, maybe in Austin and not here with us right now, you can find like all the events. There's a shit ton of stuff going on, dude. I mean,
Yeah,
I
I'm
feel
pumped.
like you could just go walk. I mean, it's crazy because like South by Southwest has so many other things going on, but it hasn't embraced Bitcoin. So maybe
That's
we're
wild.
making it make it big enough this year where next year South by Southwest will take some notes and start to embrace it. Who knows?
I mean, does anybody from Austin like know the people that organize that conference? Like, I mean, that conference is always a mystery to me. Like, how do you get something to be that big, and how do you have it like so many different things going on at the same time, like different industries? Like, how do you know that many people?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know. Because I mean, like, it's been going on for a long time and it's always like something like completely different. And like each place is doing, like you said, like doing something different. Some places are music, some places are film
festival,
art,
music festival, art festival,
tech,
tech conference, like at the same time. It's baffling.
Yeah. I mean, like it's funny. I had a memory pop up on my Snapchat stories. Like 6 years ago, one of my buddy's friends, their company rented out one of these bars and they had an open bar and it was T-Pain and DJ Jazzy Jeff from Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. And I have a bunch of drunk selfie videos of me trying to get a selfie video with T-Pain while I'm just like hammered drunk on spring break. So,
I'm so jealous. I love T-Pain.
Yeah, T-Pain was the man. And then my parents saw him the next day at the airport and they're like, "Is that T-Pain?" And I was like, "Yeah, it definitely was because I just saw him like the other day." So
insane. You should have just like screamed, "I'm on a boat" from across the room.
Yeah, it was like it was my favorite concert of all time because one, it was free, and then two, like open bar, like no brainer.
What?
And T-Pain. I
It's
mean,
a concert with T-Pain.
I gave him a high five too. Like it was an experience to say the very least.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, not only can you get that here, but you can get a lot of great Bitcoin events. So, well, man, I appreciate you coming in. Why don't you tell people, like, are you on Twitter, Nostr, all that kind of stuff? Like,
yeah,
people find you on the interwebs.
Yeah, Twitter's a good way, and then you can find my Nostra from there. It's @_. Yeah,
I'm about to find you. Oh, you got @_.
Yeah, it sucks. No. It's @_ then my name @_ Alex Lewin. @Alex Lewin was taken. @Alex_Lewin is taken.
How do you spell Lewin?
Lewin. So @Alex Lewin.
I found you. There we go.
I have laser eyes like everybody else.
Yep. There's some great stuff. So I just gave him a follow. And yeah, man, you guys give him a follow. And man, thanks for coming in.
Oh, my pleasure. No, this is fun.
Yeah.
I've never done this before. So
of course.
cool.
Yeah. So feel free to go out there and bug somebody else and tell them to come on in.
Yeah, we'll do.
All right, man.
Thanks.
Appreciate you.